Hello and welcome to my video that I'm making at the moment because I decided to. I just wanted to say hello and welcome to any of you watching. If any of you watching are already subscribers, that is amazing. Thank you so much. I hope you are well at the moment. I am terrified making this. Anyway, I just wanted to say that I hope you are well, whatever you are doing right now. Hello. Thank you for clicking on this video. That is awesome. Nice. I hope I'm not too... I hope I'm not too weird and awkward, but yeah, I get it if you're not interested. I completely understand. I want to talk about a rather niche topic today that has been in my brain for a while, and by a while I would like to say a couple of months, but my idea of time is funky, so I don't know for sure. In the midst of my fervent scrolling on Pinterest, I found some rather interesting images that I thought they were really cool. Maybe you've seen them, maybe seen like some of them before as well. Yes, so I am talking about these dazzling Technicolor fashion prints, fashion designs from the Meiji period in Japan in the 1880s. I've seen before and I thought they were cool and I wanted to talk about them. If you have seen these before, you might know what I'm talking about. But like the thing about them that's so strange to me, well not strange, but like, oh, that's interesting kind of sort of deal, is like, instead of wearing kimonos, they're wearing like European style 1880s bustle dresses, and it's like, wow, I was not expecting to see that. Which is like, I don't know, it's striking, but also like, wow, that's so cool. I think it's just because we're used to seeing bustle dresses in like a European set rather than a Japanese setting, and I think like why these Japanese women started wearing European style dress. Based on my research, I found out that this period of Japan's history that I'm talking about is called the Meiji period, which spanned from 1868 to 1912. Like, this was a period of very rapid change in Japan. Under the reign of Emperor Meiji, there was a drastic push to modernize and westernize Japan to make it appear equal to Western powers at the time. One significant change that was made under this whole overarching effort was to change the way that the male courtiers of the emperor's court dressed. And in 1871, he released an edict that said, quote, "The national polity is indomitable, but manners and customs should be adaptable. We greatly regret that the uniform of our court has been established following the Chinese custom, and it has become exceedingly effeminate in style and character. We should no longer appear before the people in these effeminate styles, and we have therefore decided to reform dress regulations entirely." End quote. Basically, starting from the court, like that's where this change in fashion began, and of course like with the emperor it's the very, very peak of Japanese society at the time, and so therefore obviously if they're the ones making the change first, that really does set the tone for how dress will change throughout society as a whole. So more than a decade later, in 1887, Empress Haruko would kind of follow this idea, and she would issue an edict that said, quote, "Now we can no longer restrict ourselves from bowing from a kneeling position, but we will have to observe the Naniwa style of bowing while standing. Moreover, if we look at contemporary Western women's wear, we find that it combines a top or jacket and a skirt in the manner of our ancient Japanese system of dress. This is not only suitable for the formal standing bow, but also convenient for action and movement, and it makes it only natural to adopt the Western method of stowing." Preceding these edicts, a rapid transition would kind of take place across Japan, and then of course the fashionable elites would start quickly adopting Western fashion instead of Japanese fashion. Now, in public, these Japanese elite would have their tailored suits and their bowler hats and their richly adorned bustle dresses and the hats of decadent millinery. But however, this is all really just an attempt to kind of maintain the look of respectability in public, whereas this was not necessarily the case in private. Like, in the privacy of the home, many of these people, even though they're wearing Western fashion outside of the home, inside the home, they were very much still wearing their traditional kimonos. And of course, the kimonos were much more familiar and comfortable to a Japanese house at the time, and so of course, in a way, it kind of makes sense that the adoption of Western dress wouldn't be so completely overtake everything. Like, of course, there would be some kind of some go-between between Western fashion and Japanese fashion. You wouldn't, if you were a wealthy Japanese elite person, you wouldn't buy a bunch of Western clothes and then just completely throw away all of your kimonos. That wouldn't necessarily be the case. And of course, this attempt to maintain appearances in the public eye was most common when you go to Emperor Meiji's imperial court. Everything was very neat and very polished. When you see images of the emperor's royal court, men's fashion particularly is just a sea of black and white. They wear military-style uniforms with white trousers and black military jackets with long coattails, with incredible red and gold embroidery. Women, on the other hand, are just a cacophony of colour. Bright reds, purples, blues, greens, decadent scrolling, curling Japanese patterns of embroidery with a lot of floral motifs. Some of the most phenomenal surviving examples of Japanese court dress during the Meiji period are the court gowns which belong to Empress Dowager Ekinori. These gowns are constructed in the European style, with a skirt, court train, and bodice. It is believed that the silk jacquards these gowns are made from were woven in Japan, whereas the gown was tailored in Germany. The overseas importation of garments from Europe to Japan for the high society clientele of Emperor Meiji's court proved their willingness to try and assimilate into a similar culture of consumption as Western high society, imitating trends and commissioning their clothes from the greatest European fashion designers at the time. Now, in spite of the undisputed beauty and splendour that can be seen in both artistic evidence of Japanese fashion as well as surviving garments, Japanese adoption of Western dress came under heavy scrutiny by Western observers during the later half of the 19th century. High society receptions and balls were often some of the best places in late 19th century Japan to observe the ways in which Japanese high society sought to emulate their Western counterparts. In 1889, the Ladies' Pictorial described a Japanese ball, recounting that one lady who evidently felt perfectly satisfied with her costume wore a very crumpled and short dress of salmon pink, trimmed with a scarlet ostrich feather, guiltless of all curl, which laid flat on her hair, and as to the fit of her bodice, and a gap between it and the skirt, showing all sorts of wonderful undergarments. Clothing and accessories are paramount to Western comics satirizing Meiji period Japan, aiming criticism towards their apparent awkward and unflattering experimentation of European-style clothing. Calling the Japanese badly figured and with atrocious taste, Western accounts insisted that Western clothing did not suit the Japanese body, and even risked deforming it. This belief was demonstrated by the French artist Georges Bigoud's critique of Japanese Westrophiles in his publication Toba E. In one such cartoon, the shortness and awkwardness of Japanese and Western clothing was emphasized by the statuesque Europeans towering over them. The latter were so tall that they rose above the picture plane. The subjects of these comics were often drawn from a site where the Japanese adoption of Western dress came under heavy scrutiny. The humorous poem Ode to Takehito, published in Funny Folk in 1881, linked both dress and decorative art to the picturesqueness, appealing to the Japanese prince Arisugawa Takehito. Do not let Parisian tailors dress thee in formal stovepipe hats and swallowtails. Let progress keep its oriental dress. Build railways and electric light thy cities, but substituting Western ugliness for Eastern beauty is 1,000 pities. Stick to thy picturesqueness and thy paper for hats, coats, kerchiefs, sunshades, fans and screens. When Nagasaki built on Glasgow's plan, or Jeddah made more like London, who would need it? So, gracious prince, repolish old Japan, but don't let Western varnish supersede it. Despite the ways in which the West sneered at Japan for adopting Western fashion, many visitors to Japan during the late 19th century found that the reality of Japanese fashion at the time was not so garish and awkward as the prints that the West were familiar with. Japanese dress and textiles were not so bright, but rather tended to be predominantly dark blue. Particularly during the 1880s, in spite of the newly introduced edicts commanding the adoption of Western fashion across the broader sphere of Japanese society, Western dress was only found in elite and royal circles, whereas the great majority of Japanese society still wore traditional clothing. Kimonos and gaiter sandals were the norm for many, both men and women. In spite of how the West criticised Japan's adoption of Western fashion, Japan's desire to resist European imperialism saw it combining modern advances with traditional values in society and dress. The introduction of synthetic dyes and sometimes Western-inspired design motifs began to change the face of Japan's fashion industry, with cheap synthetic dyes allowing for colours such as purple and red, previously restricted to Japan's elite, made widely available throughout Japanese society. Japanese silk became the country's greatest export, being traded across Europe, whilst faster and cheaper textile manufacturing allowed for more people to afford silk kimonos. Even though Western dress had come to dominate the public sphere, by the 1890s the kimono would once again reassert itself. A new type of kimono called the homongi, a semi-formal women's kimono, with an iba-moyu pattern along the hem, shoulders, crest and sleeves would be introduced, bridging the gap between formal and everyday dress. Technological developments of the late 19th century allowed for subtle colour gradients, a novel design choice instead of the solid changes in colour that could be seen on kimonos of previous periods. As we see in the span of time, Emperor Meiji and Empress Haruko's orders and dress completely transformed the way in which people use clothing to shape their appearance to rapidly fit a modernising world. Western consumerism habits would dictate the way in which style was thought about within elite circles, with excessive frivolities, from bustles to gloves, hats to fans, shoes, bodices and skirts, much in stark opposition to Japan's traditional simple approach to dress. Times were undoubtedly changing, with the nation on its way to becoming unrecognisable from the nation it had been before the Meiji Restoration. Rapid industrialisation and mechanisation saw clothes being produced on a scale previously unseen, with sewing machines, just like they had been in the West, transforming the production of clothes. Tailored suits, tailored bodices, and bustled skirts had never been adopted by Japan before. The narrow bolts of fabric to make simple hand-sewn wrapped garments that were worn by both men and women. The kimonos, which encompassed the whole sphere of Japanese fashion before that point, were produced using narrow bolts of fabric to make simple hand-sewn wrapped garments that were worn by both men and women. Western fashion at this point in time, however, was heavily gendered and relied on tailoring and cutting complex shapes to make garments. Seeing images of Japanese garment workers in the late 19th century adopting these complex tailoring methods, cutting and sewing in ways in which they would not have previously done, puts them at the forefront of Japan's fashion revolution. The skilled seamstresses who learned these methods and techniques, producing gowns and suits for the eager elite willing to move with the changing times, truly drove the progress of Japan's fashion revolution. Hi, yeah, you just finished the video. If you're hearing this, yeah, you definitely finished the video, so that's great and all, which, yeah, I just wanted to say, if it sounded like I was having a panic attack, throughout this video, I probably was, because, new things are fucking terrifying, when I shouldn't say that swearing, because new things are scary, but I will say, panic attack or not, researching for this video was actually really, really fun, and, oh, should I spoil it now? No, I shouldn't spoil it now, but I'm actually working on my next video right now, so like, if you want me to tell you, I might tell you. I'll have to think about it though. But anyway, oh my god, actually, I literally wrote the whole thing for the outro of this video. Should I just probably like read that? Let me see. Yeah, my hair is in my face and I can't read anything. Oh yeah. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. I hope you learned something like I did from researching such a topic. Feel free to leave your comments in the comments section below, whether you would like me to produce another videos like this, or you happen to know anything else that I have missed. I can't see anything. Well, yeah, basically, I'm not gonna read the thing that I wrote, so I'm just gonna say whatever I want to say anyway. Yeah. If you liked this video and you thought it was fun, woohoo, give me a like or something, and also give me a comment section that's saying don't have a panic attack, you're doing fine, blah 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 blah, blah, which would be nice or something, because then I actually have like the confidence to keep making videos, because it's right now I'm like making videos, but I swear I'm just sitting here just like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. It literally feels like that. Which, like, if any of you are like doing something new and you feel like that, honey, I feel the same. Okay, I feel exactly the same. So yeah, if you want me to do more research-based videos, or you want me to make more sewing-based videos, let me know in the comment section below. Until then, I will free you from this cringe vest and let you carry on your merry way. No, I won't. Jinx, I won't. I have to tell you something first though. Before I let you escape, before I let you escape, I just want to say the next video I'm going to do is going to be on crinolines, and crinolines. Making the crinoline, bum 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 bum, making the crinoline, bum 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 bum, making the crinoline, bum 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 bum, making the crinoline, bum 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 bum.